Again, welcome everyone. My name is Kamila Kasperovich and I am honored to be able to present my works on this extraordinary exhibition opening today. But let me introduce myself first. I am a graduate of Manchester School of Art. I also have a degree in Fine Arts and Graphic Design from the University of Silesia in Poland. I am currently a marketing director at UAP Limited and a member of Hotbed Press Printmaker Studios in Salford, Manchester. My primary focus in my art and design is communicating complex subject matter in a visually effective ways. I am particularly interested in letterpress, poster design, typography and installation art. I'm also a PhD candidate researching topic of typography in the city at the Faculty of Fine Arts at University of Silesia mentioned before. Series of my prints shown on the exhibition have been inspired by the city of Manchester. If you've never been, Manchester is a vibrant post-industrial gem at the heart of northwest England. I used famous city landscapes and transferred them into the screen prints. I deconstructed each image, adding a distinctive texture. I encourage viewers to look closely and focus to notice what's on the prints. In shown works, I'm asking the questions: how do emotions work around the city? I believe emotions play a crucial role in the surfacing of the individual in the city. So, are the emotions a private matter that simply belongs to one individual and come from within and then move onwards towards others around the city? Prints are somehow my answer to the question about how does city collect our emotions. First screen print, which I would like to present today, is titled Hilton. This work has been inspired by the famous Beetham Tower, one of the most distinctive and recognizable buildings in Manchester. Colorful circle on the print has been inspired by the vibrant summer sunsets in Manchester. Inhabitants of Manchester are treated to spectacular pink skies, bright sunshine, and a full moon at night, peeping through the clouds in the summer months. When the sun is out, people are happier, and it resonates across the city. Inspiration for the second print was the Tower of Light, one of the newest sculpture-like buildings in Manchester. The building will act as a chimney for the low carbon energy center, and the network will generate low carbon heat and power for the city to help Manchester reach its ambition of becoming zero carbon by 2038 at the latest. And that's why I've decided to incorporate it in my prints. Splash of color on the print is also a homage to a beautiful sky of Manchester. Next work is titled Gentleman. This print shows a deconstructed image of the original gold mosaic which can be found on a Victoria station in Manchester. Manchester's extraordinary 19th century wealth left a permanent record in an architectural variety and variosity that makes the city centre an outdoor museum of styles, from Greek classical to early Taural steel frame structures. The smallest bar in Europe, but the biggest welcome in the world. That's the title of my next work. There are many iconic Manchester pubs, while the Circus Tavern on Portland Street claims to be the smallest bar in Europe. I found this pub with its beautiful signage while walking around Manchester and taking photos for my PhD research last year. This artwork is a tribute to the people of Manchester. Being nice doesn't cost anything, and people of Manchester know this. That's what brings people back here, the friendliness of the city. Finally, the Manchester Canal, the title of my last work. When it opened in 1894, it was the largest river navigation canal in the world. It was built to cut the time and the cost of transporting goods between Manchester and Liverpool by road and rail. It turned a landlocked city into a port. Cottonopolis has thrived because of the canal, which become important part of Manchester. Now, not always so glorious like in 19th century, still brings a romantic scenery into the ever busy city. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Now I will pass you over to my colleague for our next artist showcase.
Hello, my name is Wojciech Osłowski. I live and work in Poland and the Czech Republic. It's me on a poster for our exhibition by Justyna Stefańczyk. I am a graduate of the Art Institute in Cieszyn of the Silesian University. In 2017, I defended my dissertation under the direction of Professor Aleksander Ostrowski. Currently, I work as an assistant professor in the new media department in Cieszyn. Before that, I worked in the creative industry for over 20 years. These are the fields of my artistic activity and some of my works. For example, these graphics I called spheres. Here we see a series of photographs showing the historic narrow gauge railroad. Here are some illustrations for the novella by Julio Cortázar. And these are for a story by Kornel Makuszyński. Social poster is the main subject of my artistic work. This is my comment on the world around us and its problems. Both the traditional and the digital workshop are close to my heart. I like to experiment and look for new challenges. I would always prefer to create positive and optimistic messages. However, every day gives me negative themes that I show in my posters. Health, pandemic, ecology, climate change, manipulation, abuse of power, human rights, feelings, and more. Creating each graphic is an adventure for me. Each stage is a search, starting from the concept through sketches to print. The visual language is universal, understandable to most people, and much better than my English. I also use augmented reality in my works. However, I want them to be more in the form of a poster than an animation. I often recall the good advice of the Polish poster master Maciej Urbaniec. Don't make unnecessary noise. Trust the intelligence of the recipient. Be brief. I try to apply these principles in my work. I like synthesis, metaphor, sometimes satire. I leave the interpretation for the recipients. Professor Ostrowski, when I was working on my doctorate, often told me, just do your job, work. That's why I'm glad that I can show you a fragment of my work. I have the pleasure to be a participant in Interspace exhibition. Many thanks also for your patience with my English.
Are mountains real? For me they are real. I will share my truth about them. My contact with mountains is not only the contemplation of nature. I am a climber. While climbing, I have direct contact with the rock. Touching the rock and finding support for my hands and feet make me experience a magical connection with nature. Something truly mystical. I learn to be here and now. Climbing is a training of mindfulness. A form of meditation. To overcome my fear, I have to trust the rock. Believe in my physical endurance and technical skills. I need to make sure I have a safe belay so that if I fall off the wall, I don't end up on the scree. Imaginary Fear is the first of 6 works in a series entitled Nature's Sanctuary. Each of them is an expression of my direct relationship with mountain nature. The paintings presented at the exhibition are painting impressions. I created them in 2020. At that time I came back to painting after many years of creating graphics in digital technology. I get satisfaction from being able to touch the surface of the painting with my hand. The plane on which I want to leave a mark resists. Just like the rock when I am climbing. Often, a line or patch instinctively applied becomes more accurate than the programmed effects of a computer program. The matter and structure of the surface and the texture of the image are important in the painting. It is that, together with color, what arranges the visual space. The divisions of the plane help to close the composition. I return to the technique I developed in the early 1990s. It consists in multiple layers of paint on cardboard. First, the natural wood stains. Then temperate paints. I make my own paints with egg binder. This creates a base from which I scrape away previously applied layers of paint with razor blades and scalpels, leaving traces of sharp tools. I also use asphalt paints for painting. The combination of these means makes the paintings more expressive and suggestive. Touching the Void is the work that I realized after an unlucky attempt to climb the Crow Tony Peak in the Dolomites. During the approach to the belay position in the fragile terrain, I fell several tens of meters stopping on a rock shelf 200 meters above the valley floor. I was lucky to survive. I broke several facial bones and fractured my thumb. My mindfulness training was put to the test. The Dolomites are not the only mountain theme in my works. I also often go to the Tatras in the Alps. After an expedition to the highest peak of Austria, I made a digital graphic entitled Großglockner. This graphic was created in 2012 and it expresses my subjective view of this mountain. I have been making digital graphics for 20 years. Using etchings and pencil drawings. I scanned them and processed them in Photoshop. I never used photographs in digital graphics. It took me several months to complete one work. Sometimes I went back to some of them even after a year to change something. Graphics intended for exhibitions were printed in large formats. It is impossible to leave out camping under the mountain wall in the sea. Harm of sleeping in a multi-star hotel under the open sky. It is an extremely pleasurable experience, especially on a clear night. Such a hotel could be my home. My truth about the mountains comes from my own story, experiences of the mountain nature, emotional experiences and sensitivity to artistic metaphors.
Hello, my name is Justyna Stefańczyk. I am a lecturer in the Games and Virtual Space Design department in Cieszyn at the University of Silesia. I run the publishing house Wild Monkey, which promotes the idea of picture books. I illustrate and create original picture books for children. What Animals Do, eco-song, series about Little Worm. I am also interested in poster, typography and animation. Post time. Everything started during exercises with my student, when we talked about online meeting. One student said that using only avatars without switching on camera was something normal in post-apocalyptic times. I agreed with her and I looked at everything with a different perspective. I decided to do a project about this strange time. I chose a title for the whole series Post Time, because this title is natural, without negative connection. I decided to do drawings and animation. I connected one drawing made on paper with one drawing made on tracing paper into one illustration. I used this two-part drawing similar in the animation. Every animation lasts 30 seconds and it's looped. Post-kindergarten. This one work illustrates online connection in the kindergarten. The connections are different but still exist. Post-teenager. The teenagers sometimes have problems with expressing themselves. Post-car. A small car is better than a big car because it is more ecological. Post-work. I think working at home could be difficult because private life mixes with professional life. Post-home. This work illustrates the closeness between people at home. Post-relations. We have an impact on the other people and they have an impact on us all the time. The last animation is a combination of 9 animations. I designed 3 extra animations for post-home, post-kindergarten, post-car. I used a different rhythm and color for every movement in one composition. You can look at the whole project or each animation separately. Thank you.
My name is Alexander. I work at the Institute of Fine Arts at the University of Silesia. I'd like to tell you a few words about my artwork and especially my work, which can now be seen at the Interspaces exhibition at the Hotbed Press in Manchester. I want to briefly tell you about my current inspirations. I have long been interested in the relationships between art and science. It is true that technological advances have an impact on artistic activities. Always, new technology gives a chance for new artistic activity. For me, relationships between science and art are fascinating. There are many examples showing that science inspires creators and artists. There are also examples when artistic creativity, artists are ahead of science. For example, Picasso's painting Kitchen and quantum graphs of quantum space. The lines in the picture look like graphs of quantum space. This is Professor Jerzy Lewandowski, quantum physicist at the Museum of Contemporary Art in New York. He shows the relationship between the lines in the picture and quantum graphs. I am interested in cosmology, quantum physics, and space time. Theory of time and space has changed in light of the latest scientific advances in quantum physics. I am also interested in the relationship between emotions and their energy. New technologies can record new images of the universe. Until recently, the human eye did not see these images. These new images show how great the analogies are between works of art and images of the world and the universe. An example is the comparison of the image of quantum space and the pictures of Fangor. I made a series of works dedicated specially to the Interspaces exhibition. My works are the result of my interest in quantum physics, a theory of time and space that has changed because now are new theories of quantum physics. The theory of quantum space, the energy world, shows what the universe is like, how it changes me and my future. By transferring this into my life, into practice, I'm learning to be, only to be, without my ego. I want to understand my body and slowly began to appreciate the power of my thoughts. This is not easy. Thinking too much is not good. Traces of the past. Different energy. By transferring new theory to the ground of art, I realized works in which the most important part are objects' shapes of matter, energy, thoughts. They are not an illustration of the quantum space, but a product of my questions, research, imagination, and feelings. Some of the works are made in classical drawing techniques, where patient application of graphite becomes a kind of contemplation in which I am nobody and nowhere. These are the details, relation between objects, next drawing works. The next works are paint wrapped into the drawing on steel plates and three-dimensional metal object, thoughts, feelings that are mobile. The recipient can create their own compositional layouts. The use of a magnet makes it possible to move these objects freely. In the universe, interaction, energy penetration is a fact. I'm glad that the interaction between me, the work, and the recipient is possible, just like in quantum space. Example of different compositions. Thank you for your attention. I'm glad that I could participate in this exhibition. Thank you to everyone who created this situation. Special thanks to Camila.